Hello guys and welcome to WorldCFMMusic. Today we're going to go over basic song service guitar lesson 2. You ready? Let's go. Alright, for starters, I want to go over something that can be very discouraging to any beginning guitar player. One of the things that every guitar player runs into when they're starting to play the piano or the guitar, is that they'll realize after a short period of time in trying to play chords that the tips of their fingers really start to hurt. And it happens even more so, especially if you're playing an acoustic guitar. I just want to explain why that happens or how to get past that, and also encourage you in the process. So when you're playing guitar, you'll see that the strings have a bunch of little ridges on them, and when you're sliding your fingers up and down these ridges, it's putting pressure on the tips of your fingers. You of course have soft skin on the tips of your fingers, and so it begins to hurt. All the friction, all the pressure on your fingers, sometimes it could be a little uncomfortable at times, but one of the things that happens over time is that you'll develop calluses on the tips of your fingers. So if you were to touch the tips of my fingers on my right hand compared to the tips of my fingers on my left hand, there's a significant difference. My right hand tips are soft, normal skin. My left hand have gotten pretty hard, and it's something that you build up. So I just want to encourage you, don't give up just because it hurts. Press in, practice those chords, keep trying them. If you need a break, take a break. That's totally fine. But try to develop a consistent pattern of using your left hand, practicing your chords, because with that routine, you'll start to develop those calluses, and pretty soon you'll be able to it'll just be second nature. It won't be so uncomfortable. And so, but you need to develop calluses. And so one of the things that I highly recommend, if you're able to do this, is to either practice on or purchase a new guitar. I know that can be pricey, save up for one, whatever the case. The reason is because over time, the neck of the guitar can tend to start to bend a little bit. And so what happens is the strings start to kind of separate from the actual fretboard. And so as a result, you have to press down even harder. And that can get really discouraging really fast. And so if you are able to get a new guitar, acoustic guitars are a little more difficult to work with sometimes, just because the separation from the fretboard seems to be a little bit higher. So if you want to, you can purchase an electric guitar. Me personally, I like to play acoustics. I like the way they sound. So it's totally up to you, but don't give up just because it hurts after a couple days, maybe even after the first week. Develop a consistent practice pattern, and you'll start to develop those calluses on your fingers, and you'll be able to play for a more prolonged amount of time. So I hope that encourages you. Don't give up. Keep pressing through, keep practicing your guitar, and you'll get there, all right? And so the next thing I want to go over is tuning. This is something that's really important. Some of you might have started to practice from the guitar lesson number 1 video, but it doesn't sound quite the same. Well, the reason is because your strings need to be tuned properly. And so you might recall in the first video, I went over the note values of each open string. And I'll refresh you on those again. Well, it's important that the note value is tuned to the right pitch. You want to make sure that the pitch of this lowest string here is actually an E. If you just pick up and start playing chord positions and start strumming away on an untuned guitar, the likelihood is it's not going to sound very good at all. So download a tuning app, plenty of them available, so you can do that. If you want to purchase a handheld tuner, you can. The idea is generally what you'll see kind of like a gauge. The middle is your goal. Sometimes it's indicated by like a green light. If it's in tune, if it's out of tune, the gauge, it's kind of like a half moon type thing, a half circle. If the gauge is not right in the middle, you're out of tune. So basically, if it's above that center line, you're too high, or you're too low if it's below that center line. And of course, you want to make sure that the note is the same because, you know, each note changes. So when you're tuning, say, this lowest E string, you want to make sure that the gauge tells you you're actually close to that E note. And once you get in the ballpark range, this is the lowest note, so that's your best indication. You know, start to tune from there. If it's too low, tighten your tuners just slowly, not too fast. You don't want to snap the strings. And then if it's, you know, too high, then loosen the tuner little by little, and you'll see that gauge move down or up. But again, try to get it right in the middle, all right? So just as a refresher, your strings are as follows from low to high. This lowest string here is E, then A, D, G, B, and the last is E, or your first string, all right? So E, A, D, G, B, E. I remember when I was young, my dad, who taught me guitar, drilled that into my brain. He said, you need to memorize this. It's standard tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E. So commit that to memory, and when you use a tuner, just remember all of your strings, E, A, D, G, B, E. Get your gauge right in the middle, and you should have a tuned guitar. If you are running into issues tuning your guitar, it doesn't seem quite right, reach out to me. You know, we can open up the lines of communication. I'd be more than happy to help you get your guitar tuned. That way, that's not another discouragement. On top of developing calluses, now you don't have a tuned guitar. I want you to have, you know, as much success in this as possible. So I'm trying to equip you with as much as I can on these videos, all right? So calluses, tuning, I hope that will help you to get past some of the frustration. One of the things I want to encourage you to do is to download or purchase a metronome, whether it's an app, whether it's a handheld one, just to develop timing. It's very important to develop timing because when you're playing in a song service team, you want to make sure that your timing's not all over the place. You're not faster or slower than the drums or the piano, or, you know, you want to make sure all the instruments are in sync and able to play at a consistent time all together. And so it's very important just to develop an ear for recognizing beats. Practice your clapping on the beats just for starters if you have a hard time with timing. It's just a very good exercise to learn timing overall. So a metronome, what it does, it gives you a consistent pattern, which is called beats per minute. So you can set those beats per minute. Of course, if you were to look at a clock, our clock is set at 60 beats per minute, or 60 seconds is what we know it as. So when we sing, you know, I'm going to go over a slow song today, which is Creating Me. Generally, it's in the ballpark of 50, 54 beats per minute, give or take, you know, depending on the church. Some churches played a little faster, some played a little bit slower. Find a tempo that's comfortable for you for starters, but, you know, set your metronome, say for starters, about 50 beats per minute, and then start to practice the song with that metronome. So basically what I'll do in this video is we're going to go over Creating Me, and I just want to encourage you just to downstrum each time. For each beat, you should be downstrumming for every single tick, basically. Whatever the sound is on your metronome, you should tie it to a downstrum. All right? And with that, let's move on to playing a song. So this is where it gets really exciting because you're actually able to hear something. You're actually able to play something. So let's get started. Creating Me. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to demonstrate each chord, and then I'll basically play the song to a more consistent time. So you're welcome to play right along with me. Of course, you can pause the video, practice on your own, and then, you know, start the video again or whatever. But let's get it started, all right? So this is going to be played in the key of G. So I'm going to play a G chord. So here's a G chord. My pinky's here on string number 1, fret 3. My middle finger is string number 5, fret number 2. And my ring finger is on string number 6, fret number 3, all right? And I'm going to post diagrams. You can also reference the PDF from guitar lesson number 1 just to give you a visual of how to play some of these chords, all right? And I'll probably post it again for this video. That way you can start to memorize all your chord positions, all right? So this is a G. So what we're going to do, we're going to downstrum twice, and then we're going to switch to a D, all right? So then you're going to have your middle finger, finger number 2, which is on string 1, fret 2. Your ring finger is string 2, fret 3. Your index finger is string 3, fret 2. All right? Again, check out the diagram. We're going to strum that twice. All right? Then we're going to go to a C chord. Index finger is string 2, fret 1. Your middle finger is going to be string number 4, fret 2. And your ring finger is going to be string 5, fret 3. All right? Strum that 2 times. All right? And then after that, we're going to go back to G. All right? So if I were to play, this is the first line of the song, Create in Me. So if I were to play it in time, G, there's your D, to your C, back to your G. All right, just like that. So, for starters, you can just go through that one line, get really comfortable. The nice thing about songs, for the most part, is the pattern tends to repeat. So you're not going to be playing 50,000 chords. I'm exaggerating, yes, but you're not going to be playing a ton of chords for one song necessarily. Some songs can be a little bit more chord heavy, I call it, than others. But for the most part, the pattern tends to repeat, as you'll see for this song, all right? So we're going to move to the second line. Starts off with a G, so 2 times there, then to a D, back to a G. And on that last G, we're going to strum it 4 times. And then we're going to move, and we're going to start those 2 lines all over again. Back to Create in Me, G, to a D, to a C, to a G, and then the second line of that again, to a D, back to a G 4 times. And then we move into the chorus. That's going to start off with a C chord, all right? 2 down strums again, 1, 2, then you switch to a D chord, 1, 2, then to a G chord, twice again. And a little bit of a change with the chords. Now we're going to play an E minor, which is going to be ring finger, string 4, fret 2, middle finger, string 5, fret 2, and we're going to down strum that twice as well. All right, and Take Not Thy Holy Spirit is a C chord, down strum twice, then to a D, then to a G, and again you're going to play an E minor. And for the line Restore Unto Me is a C chord, to a D chord, G chord, to an E minor, and then a C, Renew a Right Spirit Within Me, then you go to a D chord, and you end on a G. All right? So that's the whole song. What I'm going to do now is I'm basically going to play the song with a more consistent tempo, consistent time, instead of the pauses and talking in between. That way you can see how I'm transitioning my hand, and I'll put up the other angle as well. That way you can see how that's working out, and we'll just play the song in time, all right? So when I'm finished, or if you want to play along with me, either way, but I do encourage you, stop, try to play the song on your own. Try to match me as well. That way you can get a feel for transitioning your chords. So the big part of this is just getting really familiar with memorizing your chord positions. As you do that, you'll be able to transition, for the most part, even without looking, as time goes on. So again, it's just practice, all right? So let's play the song in time, Create in Me. So there you go. That was probably a little bit faster, probably closer to about 54 beats per minute. So you're welcome to slow it down. Just trying to give you a visualization. And of course, the biggest, like I said, memorize your chords, but practice switching from one chord to another. Practice switching from a G to a D, from a D to a C, from a C back to a G. So that's that. You just learned your first song. Congratulations. I hope it goes well for you. What I want to do in closing with this video is I'm just going to show you a handful of chord positions in case there's any confusion on how to look at it like a chord chart or a chord diagram and play that on the actual guitar. Sometimes people can get confused, especially if you're really new at learning guitar, learning the language, learning how everything looks and feels. So I just want to show you what the diagram looks like compared to what I'm actually playing on my hand. Now what you'll realize in looking at chord charts is oftentimes, probably 9 times out of 10, the diagram is shown vertically. So basically what you're going to be doing is as if your guitar is turned upward like this. So you're going to see the diagram here. You'll see a thick line up on top, and this is called the nut of the guitar, and then you'll see all your different frets down here, all your different fret spaces, and then you'll see your strings shown from right to left. Is the lowest string is on the left and the highest string is on the right. And so gotta make sure my position's right, but this is how the diagram's gonna look. So basically when you're looking at a diagram, you're picturing the guitar like this, so you're gonna have to mentally switch that picture so that it's more horizontal, because of course that's how you're playing. But I'll just show you a few basic chords. That way you can look at Creating Me, play that song, and you can also pull some of your own songs, from your church. Pull some of them, look over the chords, practice transitioning, and for now, just practice down strumming. Most songs you can probably play a downbeat per beat, like on a metronome. So you can start there, but get your chords practiced, all right? So here we go. Just gonna show you some chords. I'm gonna go pretty quickly, but you can pause, you can scrub through. That way you'll have time to practice each chord on your own time, all right? So we're gonna start off with a C. This is a C chord. This is an A chord. This is a G chord. You have an E chord. This is a D chord. And then you have an A minor chord. This is a D minor chord. This is an E minor chord. All right, so that should cover a majority of the chords that you're going to be playing for song service. Some chords you'll see sharps and flats. What sharps and flats are is you're taking like a C chord and you're shifting it up a half step is technically what it's called. And so it's considered a sharp, because for most notes in music there's kind of a middleman, and those are called sharps and flats. If you're moving up the notes up a half step, you're going sharp. If you're going down a half step, it's considered a flat. And so those can be a little more tricky. You can always Google chord charts or how to play an E flat or how to play a G sharp. And then you have your minors. Minor is just a different variation of a chord. Sounds a little bit different. Some say it's kind of a more sad sounding type of chord, but there are a handful of minors. I've covered just a few of the most common types of minor chords. And but if you have a different type of minor, say a sharp minor, a C sharp minor, or a B flat minor, You can always look at chord charts. One of the things that gets really tricky over time is that finding simple chord positions can be challenging for some of these chords. There are tons of videos out there that'll help you how to play a B chord. A B is kind of a challenging chord to play. But what they'll show you many times is it's called a bar chord. So basically you're creating a bar with your entire index finger and playing a chord with your remaining 3 fingers. So just something to practice over time, just to look into, you know. But I've given you some of the basic chords, all right? And of course, if you have questions regarding a certain chord position, you can't find it on the internet or whatever, you want just an idea of how to play the chord, feel free to reach out to me. I can go deeper into just giving more exposure onto how to play a little bit more complex type of chords. So in the meantime, start off with these basic chords, pull some sheet music from your church, you know, start there, and as you practice over time, getting familiar, you'll be able to start playing more and more songs, all right? And so in the next video, we'll probably begin looking into different types of strumming patterns. That way you're not always just down, 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 down. There's actually different ways that you can play. So with that, we're gonna bring this to a close. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for telling other people throughout our fellowship about it. I really, really appreciate it. Trying to get the word out as much as possible. And for those of you who are helping to do that, I want to say thank you. So you're welcome to subscribe. Visit the website, WorldCFMMusic.com. On the resources tab, you'll see PDF versions of each of my lessons. That way you can print it out and have a hard copy of what I went over in the lesson. There are diagrams on there that could really help you, so I encourage you to visit the website. And again, if you have any questions, visit me at WorldCFMMusic@gmail.com. And with that, that's it. I'll post a little picture here of the first guitar lesson video in case you missed that one, just to kind of give you a starting point on introduction to guitar. And we'll see you guys on the next video.